There we
Howdy.
go. Hello. We are now joined by Brad Keselowski, and we're going to go straight into questions. And our first question will come from Bob Pockris. Go ahead with the question, Bob.
Yeah, Brad, last week there was a situation where Chase Elliott at times couldn't hear his spotter. There are times where NASCAR would black flag somebody for that. Do you think it's a big enough safety issue that NASCAR should black flag somebody if they can't hear their spotter?
Yeah, not really. I'm okay with it. I've the shoe was on another foot. I'd want to just keep racing. So, in general, I like when NASCAR stays to the side. So, no issue for me.
Thank you.
No problem, Bob.
Our next question will come from Claire B. Lang. Go ahead with the question, Claire.
Thank you. Brad, talk about this weekend and your mindset, that what up 8 points from the cutoff means, how you look at Texas where you have 5 top fives.
Yeah, Claire, I'd like to go there and score a lot of points. We had a solid race in Kansas, just came up a few spots short, and great performance overall. If we can bring that kind of speed and so forth to Texas, we'll be in great shape. Obviously, sitting on the cutoff line is not ideal because I could have a great race and still get knocked out because somebody else wins. So the best thing for us to do is to go win that thing. There's 3 races left in the season, and simple math, if I win one of the next 2 and then the last one, we'll win the championship. And so I'm trying to keep it that simple.
And real quickly, how much do you worry about it or agonize over it or overthink it or not?
It's pretty easy to overthink. I'm trying not to read too much into it and just go out and do my job, Claire.
Good luck, okay? Thanks for the time.
You're welcome. No problem.
Our next question will come from Jordan Bianchi. Go ahead with the question, Jordan.
Brad, I'm wondering if you're surprised that Joey Logano's aggressive driving style hasn't earned him more of a fan base, a large contingent of fans who like to see a driver win it at all costs.
I guess I never really thought about that, Jordan. I can't say that I necessarily always know what the fans want or expect. And I try just to be myself. And if that's good, great. If it's not, it's not. So, sometimes it's funny because, we do things on social media all the time. And the ones that we're like, oh, yeah, that was going to be really popular and people are going to like it, more often than not aren't. And the ones that we just do kind of like, well, this is fun. If people like it, great. If they don't, whatever, end up being the ones that like the most. So it shows you what I know about what people like.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
No problem.
Our next question is going to come from Dustin Long. Go ahead with the question, Dustin.
Thank you. Brad, can you give me a sense of perspective of what Joey was able to do at the end of the Kansas race, to do that for such a long period of time, to not make at least a big enough mistake that created an opening? To me, as a fan, it just seemed like 2 athletes going mano a mano, but I can't truly appreciate everything that was going on not being a driver.
Yeah, the track really came in the last run at Kansas for whatever reason. I don't know if it cooled off some more or whatnot, but it gained a ton of grip, which was enough for the leader to be able to run wide open pretty easily. And when that happened, it almost turned into like a mini Daytona, and you could really hold the lanes. And to Joe's credit, he did an awesome job making that happen. So he and his spotter, TJ, are pretty strong and really good at that kind of stuff. And he pulled it off flawlessly. It's certainly not easy, but it was made possible by the, high amount of grip that the track had and, low amount of horsepower.
Thank you.
No problem.
Our next question will come from Ryan Moy. Go ahead with the question, Ryan.
Hey, Brad, how you doing, man?
Good. How are you?
Oh, I'm hanging in. I know we have the Paperclip coming up in a week and a half almost. And, talk a little bit about, I know you have a grandfather clock. So one, what do you do with that thing? And what is it about the Paperclip that just seems to be so special for so many drivers?
It was Ryan, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Ryan, it is a special track. First off, as far as I'm aware, it's 1948, oldest track on the circuit. That's pretty cool. There's only one track that can be the oldest and have the most history and pedigree, and Martinsville is that. So that brings a special allure to it, that allure that I think everybody likes. And then the other piece I would say add to it is it's a really special trophy. with that clock. And I know it means a lot to me. I've won twice there, and I've got one clock in my house and one clock in my office here. And, they're very special, and it serves as a constant reminder of how big that day was to me personally.
Thank you.
No problem.
Our next question will come from Chase Wilhelm. Go with the question, Chase.
Hey, Brad, thanks for joining us. So after the race this past weekend, Logano was talking about the ups and downs of getting acclimated with crew chief Paul Wolfe. What has that experience been like for you and Jeremy Bolins with everything that's gone on this year?
Uh-oh. Brad, you're muted, my friend.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that. I don't understand these things. Anyway, long story short, it wasn't the way I thought it was going to go. I thought obviously it'd be normal and we'd have meetings every week and we'd go through all these things. And then COVID happened and, God laughed at our plans. But, that said, we've been trying to make the most of it. And I feel like we've done a really good job. You expect to be better the second time you go to racetracks. I think for the most case, that's been spot on for us. There's a little bit of the honeymoon phase that we're certainly in and trying to enjoy. Hopefully we can ride that momentum to a championship.
Thank you, Brad. Appreciate it.
No problem, Chase.
Our next question will come from Mark Garrow. Go ahead with your question, Mark.
Thank you. Brad, how much do you enjoy the playoff atmosphere, the playoff pressure? I mean, do you feed off it? Do you enjoy it?
Feed off it is an interesting way to put it. I mean, I think I feed off of having fast race cars. As far as the actual playoff atmosphere, there's things I like and things I dislike about it. The reality is it is what it is, and I have to make the most of it. And I try to focus on that.
And what do you think about Martinsville next week? With these cutoff races this year, they've offered their own very, very unique challenges. Does Martinsville have the potential to really be the one that, sort of lights the fuse on something big?
Yeah, it's certainly shaping up that way because, sitting fourth in points as I am right now or on the cutoff line, however you want to look at it. I guess technically I'm not fourth in points. Technically I'm third in points, but fourth in the playoff standings. That always confuses me. But sitting there, obviously you feel very vulnerable. That one of those guys that's not in can win. You look at the cars that aren't in right now, it's Chase Elliott and Martin Truex that probably stand out the most. And I could definitely see one of those two going to Martinsville and winning. So, that it's shaping up to be quite a firestorm when we go to Martinsville.
Thank you.
No problem, Mark.
Our next question will come from Greg Engel. Go ahead with the question, Greg.
Hey, Brad. Thanks for joining us. Put on your former team owner hat for a second. Denny and them announced the team name and everything this morning. Talk about what advice you would give to them or any team coming into NASCAR about the challenges they're going to face, especially in this climate as you see it from your angle on your side of things. What advice would you give to them or any team trying to come into NASCAR today?
Any team trying to come into NASCAR today, what advice would I give them?
Yeah, business.
Well,
from your experience as a team owner.
From my experience as a team owner, it's all about revenue generation. How are you going to sell sponsors and bring in a cash flow that can cover your costs, which is easier said than done. There's stiff competition in that category. My self-serving advice would be to tell them, make sure you hire a really good driver, because that really is the tip of the spear in a lot of ways, and I do believe that. But be ready for a big challenge and love the grind. That's what I tell anybody who wants to be a part of this sport.
Thank you. Have fun this weekend.
Thanks, Greg.
Our next question is going to come from Dustin Albino. Go ahead with the question, Dustin.
Yeah, Brad, speaking of ownership and good drivers, obviously Blaney, Reddick, Ross Chastain, Hemrick, now Briscoe have moved to Cup for next year. How proud are you of what you're able to establish at BKR and specifically, I guess, the drivers that went through there?
Yeah, I'm really proud. I'm waiting for my commission from a few of them owners, but I'm not going to hold my breath, if you know what I mean. it's been a great experience to see these drivers make their way to Cup. I didn't do it for the recognition or the commission or any of that kind of stuff. That wasn't why I did it, but I'm glad to see other drivers get an opportunity like I got to be at the top level and to have someone support them. I had multiple people that helped me in my career, whether it's at the late model level or the truck level or the Xfinity level. And without any of those people, I couldn't be where I'm at today. So I'm glad to play a role in seeing 6 different drivers get to the Cup level in some way, shape or form, full time, and I think 8 drivers overall when you count part-time, and seeing Chase and Austin over the last week and a half sign up for Cup is really refreshing and rewarding. I'm proud of that track record of being able to bring all those drivers to Cup, and wishing them all the best as they get there. Gosh, in some ways it makes you feel a little old. But like I said, I'm just really glad that I can look back at that part of my legacy in the sport and know that I made a difference.
Cool. Thanks, Brad.
No problem.
Our next question will come from Stephen Toronto. Go ahead with your question, Stephen.
Brad, I want to preface this by saying that this isn't a political question, but I was interested in something you said last week where you said that you had a strong feeling that we're watching the demise of some powerful forms of social media. Can you expand on some of your thoughts on that? And given how pervasive the medium has become throughout NASCAR, what do you think it would mean for the future of the industry?
Yeah, sure, Stephen. Stephen, how do you say your last name? I've never seen that last name. Toronto?
Toronto.
Is that right?
Yep.
Toronto.
Just like the
that.
city.
Like the city. Perfect. I just, I think there's a lot going on in our world right now, obviously even outside of the political landscape. And, some of the things that I see on a daily basis in social media that even you guys have to deal with is pretty messed up, to be quite honest. And, on my side, I get some of the jabs too. And, I've had to build thick skin and deal with that. But, eventually, that's going to come to a head, and something's going to need to come in and clean this all up. And I'm not sure how or when that's going to happen, but it's getting past time for that to happen. So, I think that was really the emphasis of my comments. I really hate to see how it's devastated the media landscape. As a kid, one of my favorite things to do was to read what was then called the Winston Cup scene, and having that newspaper copy in your hand and reading a story in it and know it was written by writers that were there at the racetrack each and every week and that knew and loved the sport and that were supported with an income that gave them a suitable livelihood to do so. And to see things like that disappear is a tragedy, not just for the consumer like myself that would consume it and build trust in that publication, but it's a tragedy for the industry to lose that kind of source, and for those that have worked in those type of publications. So, some of the people on this call today were probably a part of that, and I've always hated that for them. But and social media in a lot of ways has been the blessing and the curse, and the curse is just that it's destroyed some livelihoods and hurt a lot of how our sport is communicated in our world in general. So, not that there's necessarily a solution that I can offer today or ever will be able to offer, but I just can't see it sustaining this way to where eventually we have to get to where we can trust everything we're reading and know that it's coming from those that are being taken care of along the way.
Got it. Thank you, Brad.
And we've got time for one more question. That'll come from Alex and Andrea. Go ahead with the question, Alex.
Hey, Brad. This is kind of a follow-up off of Dustin's question. I think he asked it, but with the drivers graduating from BKR, I'm kind of wondering why you think you've been so successful. Is it like the ability to scout talent? Is it like the equipment? What do you think has made these drivers be able to make that jump?
Well, certainly I'm not going to take all the credit. I thought we built a great team of people that certainly was a supporting cast, a very strong supporting cast for drivers. And then I brought into it a personal experience that was very relevant to the day and age that all of those drivers have made it to, whether it was being a cup competitor myself or having grown up through a system that was really just starting to get to a point where it didn't so easily provide for developing drivers. So those personal experiences, along with the supporting cast that formed BKR, really helped us shape drivers. But also we made it a point to recruit some really talented people, Alex. I look at a guy like Ryan Blaney. Talent speaks for himself. I mean, he can just get in anything fast. And he's got a full-time cup ride accordingly. Same thing for Chase Briscoe. Just phenomenal. I still remember the first time I scouted him and watched him use the lanes, and not just use them. There's quite a few drivers that use multiple lanes. There's very few drivers that in their early phases understand how to use all the lanes on the racetrack. So there's just little idiosyncrasies that I saw in each and every one of the drivers that I knew meant that they had good building blocks to start with. Ross Chastain, I remember him driving a truck a year or two before I hired him that I thought was not all that great, and he was making it go fast. It's really hard to teach. Some people have it, some people don't. And it's not for me to say why some people have it and some people don't, but it's pretty obvious. And that's just, a couple of stories along the way. Austin Cindric, his ability to get in a road course car and just absolutely haul ass with no practice was just astounding to me. That was pretty special, but each and every one of these drivers has something that makes them great in their own way.
Thank you so much. Good luck this weekend.
No problem.
Brad, thanks for taking the time to join us today. Good luck this weekend in Texas.
All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care.
Take care now.